Hey YouTubers, Fuji just sent me this, and it's the Fujinon 16 to 80 f4 constant aperture new lens that they just came out with. I am not doing a review, and this is by all means not a review, but it's sort of an introduction. I'm going to tell you what I plan to do in the next few days and who this lens is for. Stay tuned. I'm just going to go over just the idea of the Fujinon 16 to 80. What I did was I went on YouTube today because I was about to do a review on this lens, and I went on YouTube and I saw the reviews that were already there. It's getting rave reviews, it's doing very well. But today what I want to do is just talk about the whole focal length, what it's all about. We'll talk a bit about the specs of this lens. I will want you to stay tuned because I really do want to get sample images and do some really good tests on this lens. So this lens is a constant aperture lens. It has a maximum aperture of f4, but it does not close down. So it's kind of cool that it has f4 all the way through. So that is always a bonus. It is a 16 to 80 millimeter APS-C, so the equivalent on that is 24 to 122. There's a big market for this 35 millimeter equivalent type lens. If you go in every company, Panasonic, Canon, Nikon, so all of the manufacturers offer a 24 to 105 offering with the f4 constant aperture. There's a big demand for that type of lens. If you're going for people who don't like to change out their lenses too often, who do not see the benefit in having fixed focals and see more of a convenience in having a zoom lens that can go through the whole range. So they don't want to be switching out. And what's really great about this 24 to 105 or 24 to 122 equivalent is that you can leave it on your camera and do basically everything in a day. Now, a statement has to be made about that, is that because you can do everything in a day, if the opening is not something that bothers you that much and the quality of the optics are pretty darn good, you can use this type of focal length equivalent for a lot of different workflows and a lot of different lifestyles. I say workflow and lifestyles because when you're talking this type of focal length, you're talking about tourism, you're talking about traveling, you might just want to have one lens, you're talking about street photography. It can be used for a lot of stuff as long as the optics are good. Unfortunately, in this focal range, some of the optics can be bad. A couple of other specs I might want to mention about what is specific to the Fujinon is that it has a maximum shooting distance of 35 centimeters over the full range. That means at 0.25 times magnification over the full range. So you can bring this thing in and do, you can focus in quite tight and come in pretty close and get some really cool shots, either with the telephoto part of the lens or the wide angle part of the lens. A couple of other things that are notable to mention is that it is weather sealed, which is really nice. And it is a very, very, very light lens. It's a light lens. It doesn't weigh a lot. It weighs 440 grams. It's a bit more girthier than the 18 to 55. The 18 to 55 is very compact, and if that's something you really want, you might not want to get this lens. But if you're ready to take a small sacrifice in girth, then you might want to get this lens because of the fact that the focal length is so large. It is by default image stabilized, meaning you can't shut off the image stabilization. There is no switch on the side, maybe electronically. I'll find that out soon because I did get the lens. But it does have image stabilization, and everyone's raving about how good it is because Fuji claims that you can have up to 6 stops of stabilization, which is a lot. 6 stops is great. Fuji also claims that the autofocus is fast and silent. And from what I've seen from other reviews, I think that it is the case and it definitely delivers through. I will be testing it during the next month to see whether those claims are true. So really quick, I'm just going to talk about who this lens is for, and the utility of an f4 constant lens can never be underestimated. I believe that a lot of people that look for bokeh might say, well, at f4, I can only open up to f4. I won't get bokeh. I'll be in the dark and I won't be able to shoot great. Well, you have to watch out, because if you shoot something that's relatively still and you shoot at f4, you can still shoot in low light because of the amount of stops of stabilization that you have on this lens. So that could definitely be a bonus for you and might be a reason why you might want to buy this lens. I think people that are going to love this type of lens on their Fuji cameras is anybody who's bought an X-T30, an X-T3, or any of the other camera bodies and travel a lot will really like to have this lens on their camera at all times. So it is a traveler's lens for sure. There's no mistake about that. Also, anybody who's doing a one camera gig, I think people who do weddings and do a lot of videography, yes, a lot of times you have two bodies, you have two cameras, but sometimes it might just be more useful to just bring one camera. You can use this. I believe from what I see on the image quality, you can probably use this to get some really, really great shots. So anyone, if you want to do video with this, what's really great, it has 6 stops of image stabilization if you're doing video. So you might like to have it, and you might be able to just get away with doing the whole gig with just one lens on your camera. I myself will probably use fixed focals just because I'm so obsessed with fixed focals, and have this lens on my B cam and use it at times where I need it. So the other thing I think that people will like is street day photographers, where the closed F doesn't bother you as much. This might also be a great option for you to go out and get to do street photography, because you have such a beautiful focal range to work with and you don't have to switch out too much. Anyone within the Fuji ecosystem will know that they're competing. This lens is a bit competing with the 18-55 and the 16-50, I believe, the f2.8. But again, what happens with this lens, it beats out those lenses just because of the amount of focal range it has, 16-80. That's all I wanted to talk about now. I just wanted to promise you guys at the same time that I will be reviewing. I'll be taking test shots. I will be checking out how it does totally wide and how it does when it's zoomed in. I'll be looking at IQ in the center and IQ at the edges as well. Anybody who's had this lens, please comment and tell me what you think of it so far. You guys like, share, subscribe, and don't forget, everybody, keep on making something from nothing.